Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I'm Dale Jackson. With me, as always, is Mecca Music. And our guest this week is the host of the Valley Labor Report. You can hear that show on WVNN in North Alabama, online, absolutely everywhere, and on some radio stations as well elsewhere. Look, this is a very interesting show. If you've never seen it or heard it, go check it out. The Valley Labor Report, Jacob Morrison. Thank you very much.
Lots of good information.
Lots of good information. Don't agree with a lot of it, but Jacob Morrison is a good host, and it's very enjoyable. Jacob, let's talk about this UAW thing. It looks like this has been resolved tentatively, and not necessarily done deal by any stretch of the imagination. Two of the three big ones seem to have made a deal of some kind. Is it almost over?
Yes, I would say that it would be a good prediction to say that we're heading for a resolution. They have tentative agreements with all three of the big three automakers, the Detroit Three, Stellantis, GM, and Ford. And so now it is up to the membership to ratify the agreements. I think the process of voting is 2 weeks of, information going out and then the members voting on it. But yeah, they just wrapped up tentative agreements, wrapped up negotiations with tentative agreements at all three of them pretty quickly, all right in a row. And there's a lot of good stuff in it.
Jacob, that's what I want to ask you about. Is this considered a success for the workers?
I absolutely think so, and I have really liked Shawn Fain's messaging around the deal when it was announced. He said multiple times that we think at the bargaining table we have got everything that we can from the companies, but what we do next is up to the members. And so it looks like a win from where I'm sitting. Immediately, a minimum of 11% raise with a $5,000 signing bonus. $5,000 ratification bonus for every employee, 25% over 4 years. People that are in the second tier or lower tiers at some of the big three are going to see raises of more than 100% immediately. Like some of these people, the day that this is ratified, their wages are going to double because they have been in a lower tier of employment post 2008. And so this is really, really huge. They got the COLA back at Stellantis. Stellantis came to the table saying, we're going to have to cut 8,000 jobs, and they reopened the Belvidere plant as a result of these negotiations. This is the first time that something like that has happened in negotiations.
Jacob, let me ask you this. You rattled off a bunch of things they got. Let me just ask this question. Are we going to be looking at this 5 years from now and people saying that this harmed these businesses' bottom line, caused jobs to go to Mexico or wherever else? Are we going to be looking at something like that? Is that possible?
No, I would not anticipate that because, we can look and see that labor is only 7% of the cost of a vehicle. And, vehicles in Mexico that are made in Mexico, even from the same line, they don't cost any differently. So the money is clearly there. And the union has been able to negotiate the right to strike over plant closures, and that is absolutely huge. So the companies are no longer going to be able to outsource jobs and close plants without repercussion, without the union fighting back anymore. Those days are over. And so if there is a move by the companies to try to shift production overseas at any of these plants, I think we can expect a strike across the entire company until they agree not to do that.
So as far as moving plants overseas and the ability to strike, how does that strengthen the American economy, the made in the USA and things that a lot of consumers seem to care about or say they care about?
Yeah, it's definitely going to strengthen the American economy, especially these lower tier workers. You're talking about I was making $18, $19 an hour, and now I'm making $38 an hour. My income is doubling. That is going to be huge for local economies across the country, including places where the big three automakers don't have plants.
That was going to be my next. That was going to be my question here. And I know you're not going to like this term. How does this trickle down into non-union plants, like you were just saying?
Yeah, well, you're a mind reader because right here in Huntsville, we have had workers at Toyota leak to the press new wage changes at the plant.
That just
Immediately,
happened.
workers at Toyota here in Huntsville and across the country, as far as I can tell, are going to be getting a 9% pay raise. Their progression at
Non-union
Toyota
workers.
is going to
Sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
non-union workers, yes, non-union workers, because they want to try to stave off this, a potential union campaign, which the UAW has made clear that they are going to begin. And in fact, there's an organizing committee that's already public at the Tesla plant in Fremont, California. So here, so in Toyota, wages are going to increase immediately 9%, and the wage progression is going to be cut in half, from 8 years to top rate down to 4 years to top rate. So clearly not as much as you'd be making at a UAW Big Three plant, but this is going to have ramifications across the auto industry, across the country.
Well, I don't think it's just the auto
it'll be
industry, Jacob. I don't think it's just the auto industry. I mean, we are about to see sort of the marketplace of ideas coming into effect here, because we've seen massive increases at places like UPS, and then that have a trickle effect out into that industry. Now you have this, and it having a trickle effect off into other non-union sectors of that. And if there is not some sort of implosion of those industries or big problems created, that's proof of concept, right?
Yes, yeah, and that's what the union is banking on, I think, and I think it's a good bet, absolutely. And this UAW is really a new UAW. They are being led by leadership that has a vision to really unionize the country, and the start is the auto industry, and from what we've seen in the negotiations over the last couple of months, they're committed, they're strategic, they're intelligent, and they're willing to go out and do things that folks haven't done before.
Let me ask you this. Let's talk about something that folks haven't done before. You have Trump making inroads in the past couple of years into union membership for Republicans. Does that continue when Trump leaves the stage? Or is that something that other Republicans will be able to dine off of?
I think if Republicans are smart, it's not going to end when Trump leaves the stage, because unions have record high approval ratings. Something like 70% of Americans approve of unions, 90% of people under 30. And so if they're smart, they're going to want to do everything they can to make themselves look union friendly. And the folks, I mean, even, there's been senators, Republicans across the country. I even had a Republican state representative tell me unions help build the middle class. And so, I think there's an interest in being perceived as on the side of labor, on the side of working people. And so there's going to be at least rhetorical interest in supporting unions. Now, what that translates to is, I think kind of dubious on the part of Democrats and Republicans, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, the unions built the middle class, and they're responsible for the 40-hour work week, and they're responsible for weekends, and all that's true. I don't think anyone has any question on that being true. The question is, what has it become? And I think this is a very interesting, like I said, proof of concept to see how this all plays out. Thank you very much, Jacob
Thanks,
Morrison.
Jacob.
Well, Alabama Politics This Week, you're watching and listening to it. We'll be back.